Is there anything we want to discuss about the film in general?
It's got a quality hunk.
Captain Shang. Yeah, we do have to give a shout out
Oh,
to Captain Shang.
I was talking about how one of my first crushes was Meg from Hercules. Mulan is a cutie herself, but Shang is so hot. Like, he is so hot.
Nuts when they enter the training montage right before I'll make a man out of you. And he takes off his shirt and everyone's like, oh my God.
And then he
It's
keeps his shirt off the entire montage.
Dragon claw, wing and scale. Come now, let's examine a tale of the greatest beast ever considered. Another episode of Big Flying Lizards.
Welcome to Big Flying Lizards, a dragon movie and television podcast. I am your host, Bryce Wilson, and today we have another flashback episode. We have another banger episode discussing an amazing film, but let me go ahead and introduce my guests today. My guests today are the brilliant creators of one of the most insightful and nostalgic podcasts in the fantasy sphere, Dragon Babies, hosted by Grace and Madeleine Harnoy. On their acclaimed show, Grace and Madeleine revisit beloved young adult fantasy books that shaped their adolescence, exploring how these stories don't just entertain us as kids, but they actually help build us as adults as we begin to grow and see the lessons that we've learned from that. They are the perfect guides through these different fantasy novels. Grace, Madeleine, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having us and for that lovely introduction.
Yeah,
Really
that was
appreciate
great.
it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Excited to
Of
be
course.
here.
It's my pleasure to have you. Tell us a little bit about yourselves. How did you guys get into discussing just young adult, specifically fantasy in general? What draws you there?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. So we were both definitely very socially isolated kids. Didn't do great at making friends, but we spent a lot of time together reading, creating our own we realized later that we were essentially LARPing as
Yeah.
children. We just didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah.
Creating our own stories. And from a very young age, our mom read us The Hobbit. We became obsessed with Tolkien. We got really into Tamara Pierce, Patricia C. Reedy. She has amazing series about dragons, The Enchanted Forest Chronicles. And we love those books so much, but then realized once we got a little older that we had kind of stopped reading fantasy for fun. And I felt like I wasn't giving those authors the respect that they deserved for shaping me as a person. So we started the podcast, and that was almost 10 years ago now.
Yeah.
So we've been talking about these books for a long time, and we really like covering lesser known fantasy authors just to kind of make sure that there's a forum for people to talk about them, because it's kind of amazing how little there is on the internet in terms of just appreciation for some really amazing writers. Yeah, go ahead. I kind of
No, I mean,
steamrolled that.
was a beautiful summation of what brought us to this point. And like Grace said, fantasy books were so important to us as kids. And it was great for me as well, this dynamic, because Grace is 3 years older than me, which, these days doesn't mean much. But when we were kids, it meant that Grace was bringing books in that were above my reading level, which I would just pick up too. And we ended up with just tons and tons of fantasy books as kid, which many of them we either kept with us or we reclaimed from my mother's garage not even that long ago.
Yeah, so we still have quite a treasure trove.
Yeah.
And they include like books we stole from school libraries.
Oh yeah. That say like Mrs. Pearson
Yeah.
on the inside cover. You're like, okay, thank you.
This
Mrs.
little card
Pearson.
catalog. Yeah, I know. But
Yeah.
it was worth it. We appreciate those books. We love them. So
Yes.
we're taking good care of them. Sorry, library.
Yeah, and it's super fun where, people do like icebreakers and like work or whatever. Like, what are you reading lately? And I'm like, well, let me tell you about my podcast. Everything I read is a fantasy novel.
Yeah, and we never want to go back.
Yeah.
No, I definitely love those icebreakers because whenever they take us on work outings, they're like, all right, let's do 3 truths and a lie. Like, Bryce, let's start off with you. I'm like, well, I host a dragon movie and television podcast. I'm writing a fantasy novel and I have a 3D printing business on the side. And they're like, which one's the lie here? And I'm like, I don't actually have a business. I just do it as a hobby. We'll eventually talk about the movie that we're talking about in a second. But was it just Tolkien, or did your mom consistently read books to you? Because to me, it was actually a big part of my childhood. My dad worked a ton with his job, so he wasn't home that often, but the few things that he was there home for, he was home for whenever we were having a sporting event, any of my siblings or plays, or he would come to those. And then he'd always come home and he'd make an effort to read a chapter or two from a book, whether it was the Percy Jackson books, the Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, like, and that to me is like very pivotal to my childhood.
For
So
sure.
is that sort of a similar situation, or was it just very select books that you were getting read?
Well, it took us like a year and a half to read The Hobbit.
I mean, because she like read it aloud to us. And
Yeah.
she went through the whole book. We would just do like a chapter at night. And I was like 5 when she started.
And then we have a little brother who's 3 years younger than Madeleine. So, we had to go slowly. But I also, my mom introduced me to the Chronicles of Narnia, which I was absolutely obsessed with. And then I guess from there was going to the library and discovering Tamara Pierce and Patricia C. Reedy, and then Diana Wynne Jones, also huge, huge fan of hers. So definitely reading aloud helps so much. And then I was so curious about the Lord of the Rings trilogy because my mom really hyped it up and was like, it's amazing, but it's scary and it's too intense. I was like, no, I can read it. I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
Got to, me carrying Return of the King to my 4th grade class, which didn't help with making friends.
Can relate because I reread that The Two Towers is still one of my favorite fantasy books.
It's so incredible.
I love it so much. It's so magical.
We were just talking about this last week.
Well, you're in the right place over here because we can talk about
we're
it
good.
for hours.
We're good.
I do just have to ask for the both of you, if you're stranded on an island, you've only got 3 books that you can take with you to that island. What are those 3 fantasy books? Or maybe one of them's not even a fantasy book, but what are we going with on those 3?
Do you want to go first?
I feel like I just want to take the final 3 books from Tamara Pierce's Wild Magic series. More time to think about it. I'll come up with a more nuanced answer. But like off the top of my head, like I've read those so many times and they're so important to me. And a lot of like my own like headcanon fantasy or like short stories that I've written are really heavily influenced by those. And I'm hoping to get a Dane tattoo soon as well, who's the protagonist.
She's the lead character.
That quartet. Yeah, I'm sticking by that.
I love the subversion of picking 3 books from the same series.
Well, because, they're not that long. So
just
it's like,
in a row.
A long tail.
Yeah. Well, if it makes it any better, how about like what 3 series would you go with then? Maybe that might help a little bit better.
Well, here, I'll answer and you can think about that.
Yeah, so I just want to throw a wrench into that.
I would get to take all of the books from that series.
Which 3 series would you pick?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm going to do Wild Magic. I'm going to take the Lord of the Rings trilogy for sure. College courses have been taught on those books.
You'll be good on your desert island for a while.
There's so much there to get into. And it's my 3rd series. I don't know. I'll think about it.
Okay. I would say definitely The Hero and the Crown by Robin McKinley, which features a dragon prominently, a very evil dragon.
Perfect.
Yes. And there's a pivotal scene where, spoilers for Hero and the Crown, the main character is like horrifically burned over her entire body by the dragon's fire, and it takes like months for her to recover. And it's like a very metal book. It's very intense, like really cool coming of age stuff. Like a noble girl deciding to become a dragon warrior instead. And it's really, really meaningful to me. I'd also say it's hard to pick, but a book from the Crestomancy series by Diana Wynne Jones. They're books about a magical cop of sorts who's like tasked with making sure that magic is used appropriately across all the universes. And Diana Wynne Jones loves like parallel universe stuff, like mixing reality and our existence with fantasy worlds. So those are all really, really fun. There's one called Witch Week in particular that I absolutely love. And then I think my third has to be Fellowship of the Ring.
Okay, I think that that's a solid list on that front.
I'm not going to do a series from. I know I'm like totally ripping up this exercise, but
Hey, we
my
can do whatever
third
we want.
my third book would be The Folk Keeper by Franny
Ooh.
Billingsley, because it is so beautiful, so haunting, and it's another one that was really important to me as a kid. It uses like Celtic Irish mythology, and the main
There are Selkies in it.
yeah, and I wanted to be a Selkie so bad when I was a young girl.
Still do.
And when we read it not that long ago for the podcast, I just like fell in love with it again. It's so cool. Very like creepy.
It's sort of a horror fantasy book, which is
Yeah.
a kind of subgenre that I really enjoy.
Yeah.
Well, at this point, my audience knows almost exactly what I'm going to be saying for like what I would be wanting, but I don't know if you guys have covered this and I need to go back and see, but one of my all-time favorite series is the Fablehaven series by Brandon Mull. He's an author that's here in Utah.
Cool.
I love if you it's so again, the general idea of Fablehaven is it's set in our modern times, and there's these preserves that magical creatures can go to escape just the modern life, because a lot of it either just scares them or just they don't want to be around it. But also it acts as prisons for the more dangerous, chaotic, evil monsters. And it's just there's this one organization that's trying to release all the demons that are like trapped in the like more secure. And so it's such a great series. It's a young adult, so I feel like it's really up your guys' alley. There are
Yeah,
dragons.
We'll
that
put it
sounds
on the
amazing.
list.
When is it from?
When did the
Is
first
it
one
more
here?
contemporary?
Fablehaven.
I definitely want to check it out. So we'll make a note.
2007 is when it
Okay.
came out. The
Okay,
first
cool.
one. So, and there's actually in the works of making a film for it, which I have been literally begging for as a child
Yeah.
for years now.
It is amazing when you live to see an adaptation that you've always longed for realized, and then even better when it's actually good.
Yeah, I
Doesn't
mean
always happen.
that's the biggest issue is it when it's
Yeah.
not good.
It's a big if, yeah.
As like I'm really hoping that Disney pulls through and makes the Aragon series that they're gonna do
I'm
at least
really,
decent.
really
Yeah.
curious about
That's
that.
been in the works for a long time, right?
Yeah, well, I think the issue is that a lot of the people that are going to be working on it are also working on the Percy Jackson series, which
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys watch the Percy Jackson series. My attitude is I wasn't blown away, but I also was like, it's not bad. It's so much better than the movies that came out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, those movies were rough.
Yeah.
But speaking of, I mean, this is not a rough movie, but speaking of movies, do we want to dive in and talk about the film that we're going to be discussing today?
Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
do
it.
it.
We're ready. I still have my childhood Mulan Barbie, and I meant to bring her.
Yeah, where
to
is
it.
she?
I forgot. I'm sorry. But she's with us in spirit.
He's with us in spirit. Ancestors, dolls, all of it.
Exactly.
They're all
all
here.
present in the room.
Mulan is a 1998 American animated musical coming-of-age action-adventure film based on the Chinese legend of Han Mulan. Produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation, the film was directed by Barry Cook and Bon Croft and produced by Pam Coates. The film's plot takes place in China during an unspecific imperial dynasty where Fa Mulan, daughter of aged warrior Fa Zhu, impersonates a man to take her father's place during a general conscription to counter the Han invasion. Mulan was the first of 3 features produced primarily at the Disney Animation Studio at Disney MGM Studio, now Disney Hollywood Studio, in Bay Lake, Florida. Development of the film began in 1994 when a number of artistic supervisors were sent to China to receive an artistic and cultural inspiration. Mulan premiered at the Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles June 5th, 1998, and was released in the United States on June 19th. The film received positive reviews from critics and the public, who praised the animation, plot, character, and musical score. It was a commercial success, grossing over $304 million worldwide against the production budget of $90 million. It earned a Golden Globe and an Academy Award nomination for its music and won several Annie Awards, including Best Animated Feature. It was also followed by a direct-to-video sequel, Mulan 2, in 2004. So right off the bat, looking into a lot of the behind the scenes of what was going on, there was I don't know how much you guys have looked into just the drama that was going on with Disney at this time, but DreamWorks was really going to war with Disney at this time
Yep.
because of the producer of DreamWorks. He was taking a lot of the talent away from Disney at that point. The person who actually, which again, everyone a part of this podcast knows, I love The Prince of Egypt. It's one of my favorite.
The Prince
We
of
do
Egypt
too.
is incredible.
It's
Favorite childhood films.
it's an amazing,
Well,
amazing
and I
musical.
saw that note that they poached one of the composers, right, from
Yeah.
Mulan.
There was already 3 songs made up that was made by the composer, but they had poached the composer to go over and work on Prince of Egypt instead, and I'm like, I wanna hear those 3 songs so bad.
Yeah.
I
I know.
wanna know.
Well, and it was Stephen Schwartz, right,
Yes.
who went on to write some of the Wicked music. So it's like this is someone with a significant bench.
Yeah, like, very culturally involved with
Mhm.
what's going on. I mean, with Wicked, the part 2 film coming out recently. This is sacrilege, and again, everybody in my comments is gonna scream at me. I'm not a big Wicked fan, but, you guys can throw whatever tomatoes you
Totally
want.
fine. We can all exist no matter where we're at on the Wicked
I
fandom.
don't know. You need to talk to some of the people in the comments section over there about that. It's the worst sin to be where I'm at apparently
Well,
with
that is
Wicked,
funny.
but we're talking about Mulan over here. I mean, all in all, Mulan was probably there's a few Disney films I rewatched quite often. Mulan
Mhm.
was definitely one of those films that I watched quite often as a
Yeah.
child. I mean, I know Disney has some history of having problematic, like, cultural appropriation or just how they depict, but again, maybe I'm ignorant. I need to maybe talk to someone who's more in tune with Chinese culture, but I feel like they were
Mhm.
quite respectful and quite with what they were doing. Like, again, I don't what are your guys' general thoughts on the film overall?
Yeah. Like on that note, I was talking to my husband about this while we were watching it and being like, the themes in this are very respectful. It's
Mhm.
about honor, right? When it comes down, it's about honor, it's about family,
Love of parents,
love of
making
parents.
sacrifices for them.
Yeah, and all, but at the same time, the subversion of cultural norms, not in a super overt, it's just one person who is subverting these norms. But in doing so, she literally saves all of China from invasion.
So it's clearly a positive thing. It's
Yeah.
the right choice.
Yeah, so and it's really beautiful, for like the scenery, like you can tell that they did want to bring in some of those Chinese art styles. The as soon as Mushu showed up, I mean, he made me laugh the entire time, but it cracked me up because I felt like up to that point you were very much in like straightforward Chinese territory for for a white American watching this who has no like great understanding of Chinese history, culture, tropes, other than like what I've picked up
Yeah.
through my life, but like
Especially
studied
a
it.
period that's over 2,000 years ago that's being featured.
Yeah, and it's really funny because at that point suddenly he smashes in and you're like, right, this is an American movie.
Exactly.
We will not be silenced.
I mean, I just was thinking about when I was watching, how great is it that they got Eddie Murphy to play Mushu, who's also just so phenomenal as Donkey in the Shrek films. Like,
Yes. Yeah.
Well, and I was so fascinated to learn and realize that this was his first voice work that he ever did.
yeah.
And the fact that I feel
So
like
he was just like in stand up, or no, he was in films.
SNL stand-up
Okay,
films.
yeah.
Yeah, but he hadn't done any animated voiceover work before. And I feel like when creating Shrek, this is another like Disney dig with DreamWorks being like, we're gonna take that. We're gonna take that character and write like a very similar Eddie Murphy performance. But it's also like they're both built around his personalities specifically. So
Mhm.
it's like that kind of transcends IP in a
Yeah.
lot of ways.
Well, and I didn't do enough research on this portion, so I'm curious if you guys know on this. Do
Mhm.
you know if they let him just I know with particular big actors, like I know Robin Williams is very famous for just ad-libbing a lot of
For
his lines.
improvising. Yeah.
Yeah, do you think that they did that with Eddie as well, because I could see a lot of those stuff that he was saying, like, very much coming from him. But I also know that Disney has enough great writers that they could
Right.
probably
Mhm.
base movies.
I did read something about this. Apparently, since the role was really written for him, it was very much in line with the type of jokes that he would be doing anyway. So it sounds like he did very little ad-libbing while he was recording. I also hilariously learned that he insisted on recording all of his lines from his home, but he refused to go into Disney Studios. So they were like, the director was going over with stills,
Oh my God.
just working with him in his mansion in New Jersey, which is like really throwing your weight around.
That's really impressive that it wasn't ad-libbing, that it was written really well.
It's
Oh,
really,
yeah.
it feels like such a perfect meeting of the minds. It's like where someone really understood how to embody this character. Then the designers, the artists, the writers really just came together and were like, okay, a perfect blend. Like, I can't believe how successful Mushu is, especially because he is so jarring against the rest of the film. But then it works. It's
It actually
crazy.
works really well. Yeah. But in like the movie in general, like there's such good voice acting. The characters are so great. The animation's so beautiful.
And we're reaching the end of the like more fully hand-drawn Disney era as well,
Mhm.
which is something that I always mourn. So it's so lovely when you first see the movement of the characters on screen.
Yeah.
And it just has that warmth to it from the hand-drawn animation.
And of course, the soundtrack is fantastic. We were belting out those songs as kids nonstop and still do sometimes.
I sang along to the entire movie as
Yeah.
I watched it. And I still know every word.
And even like the like musical numbers, like when she goes to get the armor and cuts
Oh.
her hair and stuff, that just absolute banger track
The
is
synth
playing
in the background.
I was literally just about to say that song in particular, I'm like, I
Yes.
am Shazamming that right now. I'm putting that.
I know. It's just, you feel like you can just like fly, like move
Yeah.
mountains as you're watching that. You're like, yes, I'm going to save China. I'm going to do it too.
Well, and again, there's so much that I want to talk about with this, and I just wanted to go back on the point that you guys were making with hand-drawn animation. One thing that I still love about Studio Ghibli, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Studio Ghibli films.
Extremely.
I have several Studio Ghibli tattoos.
There you go. Well, that's something that I still love, that they're like, yeah, we
Yeah.
can't do computer animation, but they still just frame by frame. And like, again, I know that blanking on the guy's name, but the main person
Miyazaki.
yeah,
Hayao.
I know he's an awful person. Like, I'm gonna acknowledge, like, he's an awful person. However, the fact that he makes people work for months and months just
Yeah.
on 3 seconds of it, like, it shows. And like
It
the boy
looks
in the hair
great.
It's worth it. Question mark.
It art.
I
Hey,
know
you
the
know
boy in the heron absolutely blew my mind. I can't believe that he's just getting better and better.
which I am sad because Austin, the guy I used to do the show with, he's telling me that the reports are that his eyesight is failing really badly right now. So
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I've heard that.
it might have been his last film. I'm really hoping that we can push through for one more film, but at the same time, I'm sure that he has several apprentices that he's just completely abused to the point where they are embodying him.
Well, totally. And I mean, his son tried to step up and direct, and Hayao was openly like, that was bad.
Pretty cruel to him.
I'm ashamed. Like
Yeah.
his the Tales from Earthsea
Earthsea
movie
movie.
that his
Yeah.
son directed, Hayao was openly like, this was not a good film and you didn't do a good job.
Which I will cover that film eventually on the podcast, but I want to.
Nice. It's a cool movie. It is a little weird, but there's
It's-
definitely good stuff there too.
And I do think the animation is very cool.
Well, and there's a part of me that does enjoy the Pixar style of animation, but the problem is I feel like they're just trying to use that as their crutch. Disney has just stepped
Totally.
away from it too much. And again, something that's been brought up on this show quite often is that Disney is solely focused on making money at this point, and I think it's just so obvious.
Yeah.
They'll
They say it.
Yeah. And the sad part is, like, because of Avengers, because of the Marvel
I
films and Star
know.
Wars, like, they've made more money than they can possibly ever need, so, like, why like,
Yeah.
again, I can
And
go
then I
down
feel
this
like
ra
that makes them scared of original IP and, like, moving away from existing franchises, and
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's really a bummer. I did
well, we
on
need
the
Cars 7.
I've been waiting.
My favorite Disney movies.
Yeah, on the animation point, I learned that the team working on Mulan developed some computer software to do the larger,
Was that like when the riders like come over
yeah, the crowd
yeah.
scenes,
Mhm.
like when they're at the Imperial Palace at the end, that they also did apparently they filmed live footage of a large crowd bowing down and then
Mm.
animated over it. Did some really creative stuff for when they're doing just like the sheer volume of all of the Chinese population.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, again, it's so beautifully done, and we'll talk more about the avalanche scene once we get there because
Yes.
I
Oh,
mean,
it's
I
so
just have
cool. It's so cool, man.
it's so good. It's so
Yeah.
good.
I think one thing they did that was really cool to honor sort of the Chinese heritage and influence that they were clearly they spent 3 weeks in China journeying around, kind of learning about the art. And I know that there are also, I was surprised to see that there were some Chinese people that worked as consultants on the film, because with a lot of Disney movies, especially from that period, it's just like, white people are enough. We're not really going to find someone who knows
You
about
know
this.
everything.
Exactly. Why talk to anybody else? But I thought it was really cool that they clearly embraced this specific color palette that I
Um,
felt was really inspired by ancient Chinese art and the way that they really moved in that kind of watercolor feeling direction, as opposed to the like higher shading and higher detail of other Disney films from around that era. Like I think A Hunchback of Notre Dame and Hercules came out right before this. And so
okay.
since those were not successes the way that Disney had expected them to be. But I think it is impressive that they're like, okay, we're gonna try something different, even though we don't know how it's going to go.
Well, and if one fun fact that I love about Hercules as a film is that Greeks hated that film so much when it came out. They're like, "This is so inaccurate. You're using the Roman name of Hercules. There are no redheads here in Greece. Like, what are you doing?" Like, and
Dare you besmirch his good name?
we as Americans are like, "We do not care what you have to say whatsoever."
But he's
And we want
muscular.
to he's hot. He's hot. Meg's hot. We don't care.
All good.
But that's like another thing is I do appreciate that it really does seem like they went out of their way to be respectful. And I also think it did make a difference on how many Chinese voice actors they decided to bring in. Like Mulan was played by Ming Na Wen, which I'm gonna first say when it comes to any of these names, I am gonna butcher them. I am not
And
Do whatever.
and with a
Obsessed.
movie like this, where there's so many people involved, and you have to know the singing voice actor and the speaking voice actor for all the main characters, it's a lot.
I think that this all really culminated together and I don't think I'm gonna discuss the live action Mulan just because they did decide to cut out
There
Mushu,
is no Mushu.
and I need to do more research on this, but I actually heard that the reason they cut out Mushu is because the Chinese consultants that they had hired for the film considered Mushu to be like a disrespectful figure
Yeah,
because of how just the role that he was playing in the film, and also there's like a level of reverence that they have for dragons in
yeah,
Chinese culture.
yeah.
Yeah.
And as much as we love Eddie Murphy, he was a little bit of an irreverent
Yeah. And
character in
he's
this.
like very slapstick at times.
Yeah.
Completely. Yeah,
Uh,
he's not functioning as this sort of like godly dragon
no.
who's like a spiritual source of
He's like,
strength,
people are
power,
right.
like nobility.
I ring the gong.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the fact that he's like trapped in a lantern liminal space. Like everyone else gets to have their big statues, the other
Yeah, you're right.
guardians, and he's just
a
like, I'm a lantern.
Well, is there anything else that we want to discuss about the film in general before we dive into the individual chapters?
It's got a quality hunk.
Captain Shang. Yeah, we do have to give a shout out to Captain Shang.
Here's the thing. I'm just going to say this. I was talking about how one of my first crushes was Meg from Hercules. one, Mulan is a cutie herself, but Shang is so hot. Like, he is so hot.
It's nuts when they enter the training montage right before I'll make a man out of you. And he takes off his shirt and everyone's like, oh my God.
And then he keeps his shirt off the entire montage.
It's like when Captain America steps out of the chamber the first time and everyone's like, you can hear just the oxygen lower as all the women and men are like,
yeah, no, totally.
that's how I felt.
Well,
like, oh my God, he's so chiseled and muscular.
and
he
something
can
else.
sing.
I know. Well, and Donny Osmond as his singing voice.
Oh, Donny Osmond.
Seriously. I mean, yeah, he's just exceptional. And I also love that I feel like there is a little bit of almost like a queer romance budding between Mulan and Captain Shang when she is still presenting as a man, because you can tell that he's really invested in her, and they have like moments together. They have like quiet little pats and stuff.
One of my favorite memes I've seen about the movie is like Shang was not upset that she lied about being a woman. He was upset that she was a woman. Like,
Exactly.
you're not a twink. You're not this twink over here.
I love that.
I do. I love the moment when she's with Shan Yu, the leader of the Huns, and he's like trying to kill Shang, and he's like, "You destroyed my chances," and she's like, "No, I did." And she puts her hair up, and he's
like,
immediately
looks
like,
serious.
"The boy from the mountain."
Yeah.
And it's that kind of thing where it's a joke of like, "Take your sunglasses off," and it's like, "Oh, now I know it's you."
I was going to save this when we actually discussed it, but I feel like this is a great just jumping in point and just takes out time. One thing I actually really appreciate, and this actually got pointed out to me in a meme. It wasn't really a meme, but I am obsessed with just the Khan Empire and the Mongols and like what Genghis, like, it's just so fascinating just to learn about that. And if anybody wants a good podcast to discuss the hardcore history, the Khan rise of the Khans is so good, and it goes into such detail on what actually went down for that. And something that was actually discussed during that is Shan Yu was actually not surprised. Like, if you look at him, like, it was more like, oh, I recognize you, but he wasn't like, what, you're a woman? Like, because in steppe cultures there were women war chiefs, like, and even for a time there was a woman who led the entire Mongol empire. And so they had a very different view from the Chinese on just women in the military and women in power. And it's just so fascinating that, again, it's such a small moment, but you can tell on his reaction that they're at least aware of just how steppe culture is different from
That's
Chinese
so cool.
culture.
Yeah, I love learning that. Well, and that makes sense for like these more nomadic groups that don't have this centralized empire. Like they're just functioning in different ways, and they're not going to have the same like super baked in gender roles and like patriarchal structure. That's so cool.
Is that Dan Carlin's Hardcore History?
Yeah, it's Dan Carlin's hardcore.
Yeah.
Like, Dan Carlin's amazing. Like,
that is my husband's
he's
favorite
a goat,
podcast.
for sure.
I have listened to parts of the World War I
me too.
series so many times because that's what he puts on in the car.
I mean, Blueprints of Armageddon is so amazing.
It's quite good.
But Rise of the Khans is definitely is my favorite that he's done, as well as Gods of Men or something, where he discusses the rise of like the Mesopotamian, the old Egyptian and Iranian empires that took place back then. But before this becomes a whole nother podcast, let's go ahead and dive into chapter 1 of the film.
Wait, can I say one more thing? I'm so sorry.
Grace isn't ready.
Yeah, I'm not ready. No, talking about the just kind of the historical component, I was interested to learn that the Huns as an enemy are not accurate to the story that Mulan is based on, like the ancient Chinese text. It was more likely different nomadic tribes that were north of China that they would have been battling against at this point. But I also think that American viewers would be like, what? I'm confused. I need a uniting force that is like easier for me to visualize as like the enemies of China. So I just thought that was interesting.
Well, you're absolutely right on that front, because Attila the Hun is arguably one of the most, like, I don't want to say famous, but when you say Attila the Hun, it just
people
puts
know
the
who
shot on you.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or like if you say Genghis Khan, like you get that view. Like I know Mongols and Huns, for those of you that don't know, they're technically the same, just a few thousand years apart. But like it still paints the same picture. They're horseback riders from the mountains north
Yeah.
of China that would invade China because they had no resources.
Yeah.
And it's,
Yeah.
I mean,
Which makes
it's
it even funnier that they like destroy the entire Chinese army in this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
That's okay.
again, I could go into so much detail, but that's what like Genghis Khan does. Like he
It's
just
so
comes
nuts. It's so nuts.
horse archers. If you play Civilization, you know how important horse archers are. Do
I'm
not
not good at
count out.
Civ.
I have plugged an ungodly amount of hours into Civ, but anyways, chapter 1. The deception. The ruthless Han leader Shan Yu invades China, forcing the emperor to conscript one man from every family. Mulan, hoping to bring honor to her family, fails disastrously in her meeting of a matchmaker. Her elderly and frail father is called to serve. To save his life, Mulan cuts her hair, steals his armor, and impersonates a man to take his place. The family ancestors, awakened by Mulan's departure, send a disgraced small dragon named Mushu to be her guardian, setting up a comedic and unlikely partnership. Now, one thing I did just want to point out, one of my favorite things in fantasy films, and it's such a cliche, but I do love it, is the storybook opening. Like in the beginning of
Totally.
Shrek or the beginning of Sleeping Beauty, it has just the traditional storybook
Yeah.
opening and it flips. Mulan almost had the Chinese version of that, where it's like
Yes. With
all
the
the
painting. Exactly.
and I loved every second of it, and I completely forgot that that was even there because I just remember the film opening up with the Great Wall, and I just
Totally.
completely forgot that there's the whole painting portion. So again, like, just hats off. Chef's
It's
kiss.
so beautiful and yeah, thematically perfect. And I think as a kid, we were just like, get to the battles. So you're not thinking about the framing device that they're using for the beginning of the movie. But yeah, it's so lovely.
Well, I mean, I'm going to probably go back and say this several times. Just as a kid, there's so many things you're not really thinking about that as an adult you're coming and thinking, because as a kid, you're more focused on the sing along films
Yep.
than the actual music. But like we mentioned before, this original soundtrack that when she finally decides where it snaps is just so powerful. I have a full playlist that I listen to when I work out, when I write, that's just original soundtracks to fantasy video games or fantasy movies. And I am definitely adding that one in because it's so soothing. Like it's sad at the beginning, but then it just on a
Yeah.
switch turns.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I can't imagine any other score for that scene.
And I
Oh,
have to say, not to like dive us back into a historical discussion, but with Shan Yu, he is so frightening.
oh
And
yeah.
I like it really threw me back into a younger mindset when he first like
Yeah.
appears on the wall of just being like, oh, he's scary. Like his presence is really crazy. And they definitely leaned into the thing where like the Huns seem to have like a grayish pallor, like maybe not completely a human, especially with his,
White Walkers.
Right.
like something other.
And he doesn't have irises.
Or
just
he only
golden.
has irises.
Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't
has
have
the gold
yep.
irises, which is like literally, of course, everything does this, but it made me think of Baldur's Gate because like the tieflings, you could do like the black eye with the color on the iris. But yeah, he's very well done. His falcon, it's probably a falcon. Also very foreboding. They seem to have some sort of like symbiotic relationship.
I do feel like they can communicate mentally.
Yeah,
Well,
very, very scary.
the way I saw it is like I almost saw him as a warg in like Game of
Mm.
Thrones. Like that was his, like even their eyes, like I think because that's what they were going for, that they had the same eyes as each other.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, he really is. He doesn't have that many lines, but so he gives me the same energy as Darth Maul in the Phantom Menace, where he's just has so much aura and presence
Yeah.
when he's there.
%. Yeah. He doesn't need to talk.
And
Just
when
presence is enough.
when he does talk, he is like well spoken,
Mhm.
which I think it also helps that he doesn't just talk like a growly monster, that it kind of makes him even more
And
intimidating.
he's clearly very intelligent.
Well, and I think he's one of the most openly bloodthirsty
Yeah.
That's all he
villains as
wants.
well. Yeah, because there's the whole scene and again, I know this is in chapter 2, but, like, there's the whole scene where he discovers the doll and he can smell
The
the
little
black
girl
powder.
will be wanting her doll.
That moment, I just had a chill with you saying it, and I've watched this movie conservatively 100 times,
yeah, I don't
probably
even
more than
know.
that on
Well, 'cause, like,
but
all of his
it's so
advisors are like,
sinister. Yeah.
yeah, his advisors are like, "We can avoid that town easy, and we don't even have to
Yeah.
go there," and he's like, "This most straightforward pass is through the mountain. The
Yeah.
girl wants his doll back. We should
She'll
give
be
it to her."
missing her doll. I
Yeah,
know,
just
it's
like,
so frightening.
His canines being extra large, like, because even though when I say it, it almost gives vampire vibes, but I
Yeah.
never thought vampire when I'd see him. He just gives like a monster vibe there.
Yeah.
But like you're saying, he's clearly a very intelligent villain as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very unique, honestly, compared to a lot of Disney villains.
Yeah.
He almost gives, like, Scar vibes in some ways,
A little bit, but he's
honestly.
not flamboyant.
No.
No.
Very different
Yeah,
presentations,
yeah.
yes.
Well, and I think this might also be in chapter 2, but when they come upon the 2 scouts and they tell them to, like, go tell this to the emperor or whatever, and they run away, and he says, "How many men does it take to deliver a message?" And I was like, "That is brutal."
As
For
the
a Disney
archer
movie.
pulls his arrow
Yeah.
back and says,
I just want to point out this movie is rated G. Like,
I know!
No. I was like, "That is so dark."
We have animated blood. We have
Yes.
so many deaths. The massacre of a village.
Really,
Yeah.
really gnarly stuff.
Does Mulan have the highest kill count of all Disney princesses? I mean, he really is so good. And the only, like, I know he's not a Disney villain, but he's DreamWorks and around the same. The only person I feel like even is comparative is Sha Yu in, is it Sha Yu? In Kung Fu Panda, the first villain who's,
I don't
like,
know.
I saw a lot of similar parallels
A little
between the
bit.
two.
Yeah, I see what you're talking about.
There's definitely more backstory to the Kung Fu Panda one, but
Yeah.
it's still that level of just blind anger and rage, but also clearly very intelligent.
Yeah, and like a poise that comes with it. Yeah.
Exactly. But no, I definitely agree that he is one of the most sinister Disney villains, and I would have loved to see more lines, but at the same time, I think that for what they're trying to do, I think he had the perfect amount of lines in this. Yeah, wish again, like, I know there's trying to just keep everything condensed into, what is this? Is it an hour and a half? Is that how long the
It's
movie
just
is?
about 90 minutes.
Yeah, it was a quick clip.
Yeah.
Like, I know, but there's so much backstory I would love to hear, because it seems like Mulan's father is a well-respected
He's a war
warrior.
hero.
I wish we knew more about exactly what went down
Yeah.
in his
Mhm.
military career.
Yeah, because we get the sense that he's very similar to at least Shang's father, where he's just a very decorated war hero, but
Yeah.
he decided to go back to farming. I don't know, like, whatever they're doing back
Yeah,
in their
like it's
hometown.
his retirement.
Yeah, what is their trade? Hard to say.
I will say their property is beautiful.
They have a gorgeous
I remarked on
home.
that. And my husband
Cherry
was like,
blossom garden.
yeah,
on.
my husband was like, "Well, he's a war hero." I was like, "But what did he do?"
Back war heroes got paid back.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe they stole that land from a war campaign. Like, that's
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
we don't need to go into that much.
No.
I know, because so much of this movie is like, honor in the military, protect your country. And then it's like, by killing a lot of people and expanding the empire. But again, not getting into that.
Minor details. Imperialism, empire building.
I'll make a man out of you.
Exactly. Throw a sing-along and people will completely forget about it. I do want to eventually move on, but I also do, like, there's something just so comedically perfect about the whole matchmaking scene. And
It's
It's really
well
funny.
done.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, speaking of slapstick, that is
Yeah.
a pure, like, old school, almost Three Stooges level. It's like each step of the way, something goes horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And it
I was
just,
even, well,
go
I was
ahead.
even, I was even thinking like if she wouldn't have just like the cricket wouldn't have been her fault. It's not like the
Yeah, she could
matchmaker.
have just been. I was saying this. I was like, why didn't you just tell her, no, don't drink that. There's a bug in it.
No, it's going to be like, Mulan, this is your cricket.
But it is really just all of that three, like you said, Three Stooges, where it was like the goatee. It is. I
I
have to just
love that moment when she carefully pulls it down.
Miriam Magels is who voice acts the matchmaker, and she does such a perfect job of just being such a irritable, angry, like
Yeah.
obviously this woman of power, the matchmaker. She's
Yeah.
very influential. Again, I'm not as cultured in understanding all the cultural significance of the matchmaker, but clearly very powerful in her respect there.
Yeah. Yeah. She has so much power.
And I mean, of course, the grandma's commentary while everything is going down is just the grandma's one of the best. Like she's up there with Mushu, in my opinion, just with comedy.
She is amazing. And I also love how subversive she is throughout the whole movie. Like, she just doesn't care.
No, she's living in her own script.
My
Which is
favorite-
also like, I mean, in ancient China, that's when you could just like be yourself as a
you're an
woman.
elder.
When you're like,
Yeah.
family, your husband's died, you're just like chilling.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about
what's the
anything.
worst thing you're gonna do?
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
My favorite line, and again, I know she has so many, but my favorite line is when they're like, "Oh, the mother is like, I prayed to the ancestors." She's like, "What are they gonna do?
They're dead.
They're dead.
We've got all the luck we need." And she grabs the cricket.
She's another like extremely American character, I would
For
say.
sure. I also read that a bunch of I think all the animators didn't like the cricket and they didn't want to include the cricket.
Was it just difficult to animate?
No, they were just like, he's unnecessary. We already have a lot of like comedy and sidekicks and stuff. But
Oh man,
I
love
like the cricket.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I could definitely see a movie where it's the horse and Mushu going
Because
back
you can
and
tell
forth.
sometimes that the horse is meant to be a foil to Mushu a little
Yeah.
bit. But then, yeah, we get the push of the Cricky and Mushu relationship.
No, I'm a fan. I wouldn't change it.
No,
think it's
I
all
wouldn't
good.
change it as well, but I would actually. Again, I'd love to see the director's cut where it is the horse and Mushu having that like just enemy and friend.
Yeah,
Don't
because the
dynamic.
horse like hates him.
The horse hates him
Yeah.
so much.
He tries to
Dishonor
kill
on your
him.
cow.
Which I guess technically this portion is where they like, because I'm looking at chapter 2 right now, and this definitely, the whole introduction of Mushu is just so amazing, like with the organ in the background,
The
with
gospel preacher
my
style
God.
against
Yeah.
the rock.
That's so good.
who am I? Who am I? And he's like screaming at the cricket to like, because the cricket's like trying
Keep
to do a
fanning
whole.
Yeah, you just keep fanning the flames.
And just the way that we get a moment where we all get to imagine that he is a huge, imposing, physically menacing dragon.
Yeah.
And then
He
the
like
cut
he struts out from like the rock.
coming out from behind the rock.
That is probably my favorite like line in the movie when he's dishonor on you, dishonor on your cow.
Taking this note
And
now,
Mulan's
again,
like, you're so small.
but if I was my real size, your cow would be running off to the dairy farm over there. I have
It's
to say,
exceptional.
I know Hercules did a whole TV series where it was like going into his backstory.
We used to
I would've-
watch that.
Really?
Remember it.
Yeah, we watched. Yeah.
I always saw like clips on like for commercials, but I never watched it proper. As I
You
was
know what?
watching this film, I almost wish we could have seen each one of the Guardians like have their own little
Yeah.
adventure.
Totally.
Because I'm
And, like-
sure each one of them. Go
Well,
ahead. Sorry.
No, it would be so cool in that moment when they show, okay, Mushu, this is why you lost your guardianship because this ancestor has lost his head. I'd love to see each of them next to like the ancestor that they helped the most and that they like delivered from great peril. That would be so cool.
I told my husband, I'm sorry for this, but it was like with Jar Jar that Mushu like did a disrespect like pretty much off screen, and all we know is that they are like no longer in esteem.
Mushu equals Jar Jar Binks. Okay, I'm glad we got that out of the way.
In the
I'm sure
episode, that's all we need to do.
I'm sure no one's going to have any controversial opinions about that over here.
Just like unknowable mischief in their histories.
Well, I was even thinking because something that I wanted to do during when I was watching the film is I'd love to see what the awakened form of the Great Stone Dragon looks like.
I know.
Yeah.
It's such a tease.
I guess he just really didn't want to help. He's like, no, you cannot wake me.
Which that's also pretty dark where like Mushu technically kills the Great Stone Dragon.
Yeah. That's
And then
even
he
more
wears his head.
disrespect.
So macabre.
Like God, that's some Macbeth going on over here with what he's
Absolutely.
doing. Is there anything else that we want to cover in this first chapter in the film or anything around it that you want to go over before we move on to chapter 2?
I think we can move on.
We've said enough.
Alrighty. Chapter 2, Becoming Ping. Mulan, now Ping, reports for training under the stern Captain Li Zhang. She struggles to fit in with the recruits Yao Ling and Sha Po. Through perseverance and cleverness, Ping not only survives the rigorous training, but earns the respect of her fellow soldiers and Captain Zhang. Mushu forges orders to get the troops into battle, where they discover the main army has been wiped out by the Huns. In the ensuing ambush, Mulan uses a cannon to trigger an avalanche, seemingly defeating the Hun army. Mulan is injured in the battle, and her true identity of a woman is revealed. As punishment, Zhang spares her life but abandons her on the mountain. Again, this complete tone shift of this
Yep.
movie
Yep.
when they discover the village
Going
is
from their like
I-
body song
Yeah,
about how they
immediately.
just want hot ladies who cook for them, turning the corner and it's just in ashes.
Like the song it halts in the middle of like a verse.
and
Yeah.
even just seeing the field of just dead again, just so dark, like
It's
for
so
a rated
wild.
G.
It was like as a kid, it might have been like one of the first times I started to grok like what war was.
Yeah.
When you just see
Yeah.
like the field of bodies, including Shang's father, and like it just the moment before they'd been all like celebrating and boisterous, and then it's like, oh no, this is real.
Well, I mean, just between, and obviously once you get to the 80s, like the rating system is completely messed up and
over the
not
place.
what it is today. But if you even look between the 90s and the early 2010s, like it seems like rated G is not what rated G is nowadays. Like
Yeah.
Yeah, because it also seems like G ratings now are actively taking into consideration the complexity of the film as well. Like,
Yeah.
I think about the way that, there is so much violence and death depicted here, but it's also more of a challenge to like understand some of these heavier
Mhm.
themes as a child viewing it. But I also think that's part of what makes it so effective. It's like
Yeah.
this is the reality of going to war. Like this is something that Mulan signed up for. Mushu sent them to the front lines
On
which
purpose.
I want to talk about during the dragon rating because he actually specifically causes a lot of death.
is Mushan a chaos god? I mean, is Mushu a chaos god? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Well, and my husband kept doing this, being like, the grandma or the cricket or Mushu, like all the bad things that happened are their fault. And I'm like, well, but it's a domino effect to Mulan saving China. So
Exactly.
I think it's good that they did that.
I am just really impressed, and I think that one, it makes me appreciate everything they did in the late 90s and the early 2000s with the films, but it also just makes me almost shake my head on what they've been producing lately because
Yeah.
these films are not only just so beautifully done, but the messages are relayed in ways that it doesn't like the one thing that I consistently say is when you make a film, like you can definitely see movies when they think that they're doing like almost social justice by making a film. And like
Yeah.
you're taking yourself too seriously when you're doing that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I think Mulan does not only a great job of being a very feminist, pro-feminism movie, but it also, like you just said, it shows the dark side of war, especially where, as a kid, you sit there and you like, and then especially just being an American, we have such a romanticized view
Yeah.
of war, and we
And
view
we
it as
haven't
something.
experienced war on our home front
Yeah.
in
No,
many generations.
yeah, I mean, we literally cannot comprehend what it would be like to go through that. We
Like a
have to
massive
experience.
land invasion. Yeah. No, not at all.
And it's one of those things where this is a film where like, okay, no, this is real. This is where your friends, this is where your family are all like dying. I mean, for this film, it's to protect themselves. But like, even if you go like, because I was even thinking like, what is Sha Yu's not Sha Yu? What is
Shit.
Shan Yu, what is his motivation? Does he just want to take over China? Like he doesn't, like you don't even know like what is his point of
No.
doing, like what is all this
He
carnage for?
he's mad that the emperor built a wall
Yeah.
and he wants to smash him.
I'm
He
gonna have
really
to
doesn't like that wall.
I'm really trying not to pull out some impersonations. It's really I'm doing my best. I'm doing my
I know
best.
it's hard.
Not to bring
It's
it
hard not
out.
to make the comparison.
That's the beautiful wall. Keep the Huns out. They are nasty Huns. Nasty, nasty Huns. They don't even wash. Let me tell you. Look at his hair. It's greasy. My God.
That's no vibes.
Is that mouse pellet he's wearing? Oh my God. That is not even silk. My dear, take
That's
it
pretty
away.
good.
Build it higher. Okay,
Yeah,
that's enough of there. I got it out.
That was pretty good.
That was great.
That was pretty good, man.
Again, going back, I do want to talk about Mushu just being a war criminal essentially over here. I do love when they're on the panda, when the panda first pulls up.
It's so good.
Urgent news from the general. What, you've never seen a black and white before?
No, that line on this viewing, for whatever reason, got me so good. It's just cracking up. And the way that as he walks away, his entire top
It
half
flips.
turns.
And then he just climbs up the tree and he's like magically gone.
I love that Mushu is literally the only character in this entire movie, maybe with the exception of the Emperor, but not even really, that puts that guy in his place, the advisor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know, it makes it, I love that this like sniveling, conniving, terrible man is like the Emperor's primary mouthpiece
Well,
in
he's
this
the
battle.
quintessential, like, slimy advisor.
Right, where
Yeah.
he's second in
Literally.
command because he like is so kowtowing to the leader, but then he just bosses
But
everyone
he's
else
terrible.
around.
I feel like that's a pretty established fantasy trope.
Yeah, true.
The slimy advisor.
Worm tongue of it
Yeah.
all.
Well, even his one line to Captain Zhang, when he's like, well, you may have gotten your position due to your family. I got here on merit. And then like kicks him out of his tent over there.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like.
On what merit? I'd like to know.
I did
Well, let me-
appreciate that line though, because I had just said, like, why does he hate him?
Yeah.
Why does he hate this this handsome, lovely man? And
'Cause
then he
he's a
says
Nepo
that,
baby.
and it's like, okay, that's all right. That is, that's at least a motivation to just for him.
Which I do appreciate, because again, I didn't really pick up on that when I was a child of like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, he's obviously the best warrior. Like, who cares if he's the general's son? But
Yeah.
also, he does go into that, like, he had the top marks coming out of military school. Like, he's
Mhm.
clearly a very talented soldier.
Mhm.
And also, he's hot. So, I mean, what else do you want from your general?
Look at his muscles.
But I do get where, because he can't be older than 20, like, in this film. Like, there's
He
no way.
has to be quite young.
He seemed so old to me when I was a kid, and now it's like he's definitely way younger than me.
He's really young.
Yeah.
It's like how I view watching football games at the college level. Like, I'm like almost 10 years older than some of these guys.
That's a baby.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's again just the whole. I mean, even just the whole situation of like the pool and the pond and them bathing, like that was even just a little like this is G, like this is a little.
I know that
Yeah.
scene stresses me out so much.
It still does, yeah,
still
because
does
I'm
to
like,
this
oh my
day.
God, this is so precarious.
Also, she literally like her body backs into Chow Po at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, whoa, this is a lot.
Yeah, where did he come from?
I know.
I know. How can he be stealthy? He's the size of a mountain.
The
He's literally
one
lifting
doing
horses.
is like, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Also pulling them up on that tiny rope. Yeah.
That can happen. That's real.
There are a lot of really goofy physics in this movie, but it's fun to watch, so it's
I-
all
yeah.
good.
I
Yeah.
really love when we first meet them and he picks Yao up and he's like gently like rocking him. Like, calm down. Yeah.
I also felt like Chun Po, is that his name? Chow Po, Chun Po? I can't
Shed
remember.
Po, I think it's
Chun Po, thank you. Okay, cool. I feel like he's the one like Buddhist influence on the movie.
Oh, totally.
And
He
I
looks like the Buddha.
specifically read that one of the directors is very religious and is Christian, and he didn't want Buddhism in the movie. So that was something that I noted when he's doing the like mantra and calming and like being
Mhm.
kind of a peaceful force.
And he is like, yeah, his whole persona is much more
Yeah,
like,
he's a
yeah.
different type of guy.
Well, even his character design is very
And then-
similar to to Buddha. Like
Yes,
Yeah.
literally.
And then I noticed that Lin loses like all of his teeth like 3 times.
Yeah, they really suffer in those inner camp battles comparatively to the whole war.
which those are all amazing. Like all the
They
like
are.
when they have their first brawl at the beginning of technically this chapter, and like Zhang walks out to them all just beating each other.
And the porridge has spilled everywhere.
Yeah.
I love that punishment of you have to pick up every grain of rice.
Yeah. It's very, very fairy tale.
And I'm surprised that we've gone this entire chapter without talking about one of the most legendary Disney songs of all time,
Yeah,
Make a Man
I
Out of
know.
You. Like, one, the montage
So
is just
good.
amazing. Two, like, it's easily
It's
one of the most
perfect.
catchy.
Yeah.
I definitely have the metal version on my workout playlist.
Okay, I need to hear that.
Oh, I'll include a link here. It goes hard. Like the guitar solos in there go hard, and they're like
Very
they
nice.
bounce
That
and you
sounds
go swing this.
amazing.
And
I
that's
can
all
see
even,
how
like,
it works so well.
oh yeah, it works magically. And I also just, it's one of those things I'll just catch myself. The earworm with that song, it's there. Like I will just any random moment just start singing it under my breath at work while I'm just go.
No, truly. Then I love the asides so much. I love the I'm never gonna catch my breath. Say goodbye to those who knew me. Like all of
Yeah.
the different little voices. And it's especially funny when it switches to Mulan's gorgeous, like, hope he doesn't see right through me. There's so much characterization and growth that happens. I love that they each have their specific ways that they're like trying to do these tasks. The moment when Mushu puts the
And her
tomato
smile.
on the arrow and
Yeah.
Mulan's like,
Yeah, the whole like all of that whole montage is just so good. It's so funny and the song is so amazing. And it's also very much what you could call a dog song where you sub your dog's name in on certain lines and then you sing it to your dog.
I don't know if I want to give my dog that much motivation, because if he has that, he could conquer the world. He's a he's a little monster. With Hercules being so close, and a critique that I had of the Hercules montage versus this montage, it doesn't really. First of all, I don't really like the montage that Phil is singing. It's nothing against Danny DeVito, but it just I don't think Danny DeVito should have sung it, and the song's not that memorable
Yeah.
or good. But also,
Yeah,
it just
he's not
seems
a
like
singer.
he's not. And it really seems like Hercules goes from point A to point B really quickly, and you don't see that much development. While in this song, you almost see like how Mulan gets that bonding with all the other soldiers, how they're
Yeah.
able to like build each
Yeah.
other up. And
Yeah,
it makes
totally.
so much more sense. And obviously they all are amazing singers while they're singing
Mhm.
it.
Yeah.
And so again, it's just so fascinating for me to see one montage that is not that good versus a montage that is arguably one of the best montages. Bare minimum in Disney, if not in movies.
No, that's such a good immediate comparison because it makes you think about the fact that a lot of animated movies, kids movies especially, use a montage just for like some fun visual whimsy,
Yeah.
but it should be used for storytelling. And the way that the narrative is so beautifully crafted and propelled forward by this is really stunning.
Well, it tells their whole training story.
And you get the moments of them being at their lowest, in the rain, in the mud, just getting more bruises, losing more teeth.
So many teeth.
But then that moment when Mulan pulls herself up the pole and throws down the arrow from the top and is sitting there because she's figured out how to use the weights. It's just so powerful.
Well, and I think that it's such a also relate like, yes, none of us like, I shouldn't say none of us. A lot of us are not gonna go through ancient China military training by any means, but we all have been in situations where we've either
Yeah.
been on the team or
Yeah.
we've been a part of a group that even at the beginning, we may have not gotten along, but
Mhm.
it's almost the trauma of suffering through the project or suffering through the
Yeah.
experience, suffering through training together
Yeah.
where eventually when you start to see people succeed and get better, it's one of those things where it's awesome to see other people getting better because you recognize like, okay, if they're getting better, that means I'm getting better and I'm just not recognizing it. And I think that that's what they were really trying to do, where Mulan technically was the weakest out of
Mhm.
all of them at the beginning. But I mean,
Mhm.
it's not like they were all like they all were weak at that point. They were all
Yeah.
uncoordinated.
Yeah.
But it just that was a physical representation of them all getting better, and then at the end, they're running through the fields of arrows, they're doing the cartwheels on the
Yeah, a
jumping.
very impressive progression, I have to say. That was a 3-week? Yeah? That was 3 weeks?
That
Hit me up
beautiful
that
final yeah, that beautiful final slow-mo shot where they're in the air having just kicked and thrown their
Yeah.
staffs out, and then they slowly come back down.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's great.
Well, just them doing the training with the bow staff in general, where it's like
Mhm.
the red background and it's like all completely and again, I know that's the animation, but it's just so beautifully animated
Yeah.
where I wouldn't be surprised if that's a point where they use the computer animation that we had mentioned where they
Mhm.
did like 3
Just a
people,
group shot.
3
Yeah.
and then just 'cause it was just so well done at that.
Yeah. I the whole time I was watching this, I was like, "God, the storyboarding must have been just impeccable." I can't
Yeah.
believe some of these scenes.
I definitely wanna go back and just see the behind the scenes of 'cause I
Me too.
there's a few that I really enjoy going and seeing. Like, obviously, the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings, top tier, just seeing
Yep.
everything that went in. It's
And there's
amazing.
so much of that footage too.
That's why you get the extended on Blu-ray, y'all, like that.
Yup.
That's right.
Yup.
Also, like, I know we've triggered and touched a little bit on it, but just the avalanche scene is just so again, beautifully animated. It is
Yeah.
so beautiful, and it's funny because I talked about the movie oh, what is it called? It's the Disney movie that is about the 10 rings. It's based in China. It's a
Kubo. Oh, no, that's
no,
a different.
it's a Marvel movie that came out within the past 5 years.
Then I probably don't know it. Yeah.
It's one of the not as good Marvel films, but it's very beautifully animated, and
Hmm.
the person that I did the podcast with on that one is like, "If you keep saying that it's beautifully animated, it means it's not a good story," which so I have to catch
Yeah,
myself like, "This is a great story, and it's beautifully animated,"
truly.
so
Yeah. Yeah,
and
and
it's
the power that the animation captures because, an avalanche is just a terrifying force of nature, and it can be difficult with 2D animation to, like, really, uh, evoke that, to convey that, and
The
I was
weight of the snow.
yeah, and I was literally, like, all tensed up and just like, "Oh my god."
so I don't know if you guys had this thought as well, but when I first watched it on this rewatch, I was getting reverse Two Towers Gandalf down
Yes, Yes. No, I literally
The
said
flow
that.
is very similar.
Well, because they like come up and then
Mhm.
over into the valley.
Crest.
Yeah, and I was
And
like,
it's
oh
like
man.
darkness though, because they're all like in black
Right.
Yeah.
armor and their all
Mhm.
hair is black, and it's like a wave of darkness while it's a wave of light in
Yeah.
the two towers. I could definitely see,
Love it.
like, I could see Peter Jackson taking inspiration from Mulan. Like, call me crazy over here.
And it is
You.
like visually it's striking, the similarity, although like you said, the aura is like, it's the bringing of light and hope as opposed to darkness and despair.
Well, and again, like we had talked about how just like bloodthirsty and angry and how much
Mhm.
like Sha Yu wants to be there. He's literally like 30, 40 feet in front of his army, like
Yeah.
charging down. Like he is out for blood and he wants to be like, I want to be there first to take them out.
Yeah.
And it makes it so much more impactful when you see a little Mulan grab the cannon and run up to him.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's so terrifying. I also love the moment that at first everyone's like, what the hell are you doing? And then they're like, we gotta help.
And it's another great Mushu line when he's like, "You missed! How could you miss? It was
was
3
right
feet." Yeah.
Again, in my head canon, that's an Eddie Murphy like line
Yeah.
that he just. But again, like I'm sure that that was written for him there. But again, it's just so good, and it is one of those moments where, like, even as a kid, I didn't really know where they were going with that. Like you see the
Mhm.
mountain in the reflection of the sword, and then she
Yeah.
takes it. And I was like, "What is happening?" And then, oh no, they called the power of God. They've got
Yeah.
nature on
Yeah.
their side.
Exactly.
They used to God power.
Yeah.
She rolled a natural 20 on that, and she
Yeah.
got a natural 20 result.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it makes it all the more frightening too when the Huns do emerge from the snow later on,
Yeah.
and the way that the hands like poke up.
But
Yeah.
when she fires it and it hits, and this insane avalanche starts happening, and immediately Shen Yu like turns around and just makes a grab for her. I was just like, if he catches you, he's gonna pop you like a grape. Like you better stay away.
It's very much like a Mountain and Oberon situation where it's like the
Yeah.
second he gets his
Absolutely.
Yeah.
hands on her,
Yeah.
you're dead.
You just gotta keep evading.
But again, and also just like the look of horror that's on his face when he
Mhm. Yep.
realizes, like, oh, shoot, like I turned this was a trap for them, but this quickly turned a trap for myself over here.
Yeah.
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 It's great.
And this is just something about like it's funny more than like a issue, but it is very notable that the size of Captain Shang's regiment seems to wax and wane quite dramatically depending on the shot. There's like by the time they're actually having the battle in the snowy valley, there's like 12 of them. Like
Yeah,
they had so many other dudes.
they dropped out.
Yeah, they were just
They
like,
saw the
"Nah,
village and they were like,
I'm done.
peace.
I
I
don't
don't think
head on home."
so.
Yeah, you just know that that was a budgeting issue as well. Well, I
For
mean,
sure.
there was so many things that were inconsistent
Yeah.
about that scene in particular. And again, I know
Yeah.
we already talked about the bow and they were able to lift the horse, but
Yeah.
you saw them fire the arrow like towards the edge of the cliff, but they're already like on the precipice there. And I'm like, okay, so is there actually still 30 feet? Are they on the
Right.
edge there? Like, what's going on
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
Not important.
I
Like,
don't care.
ultimately, these things are not important. They were just things I noticed as an adult,
Yeah.
including the fact that even before he appeared in the movie, I was like, oh, the doctor guy that's about to pop out of that tent, he came out of
Where
nowhere.
was he?
Hey, that doctor guy is a magician because he grew all those teeth back for Ling at several times.
Yeah, exactly. We should be giving him our respect.
If you told me that he could turn into a cricket at will going back and forth, I'd believe it because that's not even the top 10 most impressive thing he's done in this film so far. Well, is there anything else that we want to discuss in chapter 2 before we move on to our last chapter of chapter 3?
Think we're ready.
All righty. Chapter 3, The True Hero. Mulan discovers that Shan Yu and several of his men survived the avalanche. She races to the imperial city to warn them, but initially is dismissed. The Huns capture the emperor inside his palace. Mulan, Yao Ling, and Pan Shu disguise themselves as concubines to infiltrate the palace and defeat the Hun soldiers. Mulan lures Shan Yu into the palace roof. In a final act of cleverness, she has Mushu fire a skyrocket at Shan Yu, propelling him into the Tower of Fireworks and killing him. The emperor and all of China bows to Mulan, honoring her as the true hero who saved the nation. She returns home, not with a soldier title, but with the love of her family and respect of Captain Shang, commenting her unique form of honor. Such a just great way to wrap up the
Yeah.
film. Like, I do have to say, for how large China is and how many people we saw, like, in there, like, there's only 12 soldiers left in their imperial army.
Yeah.
It is. It's concerning.
Yeah.
This is how things have been managed in this conflict.
When Shang first said, this is the previous part, he's like, we're all that's left between China and like 12. You got 12 guys.
These guys better be the A team of A teams. They
Yeah.
better like, they better all be, like, Jedi Master level
Yeah.
soldiers.
Yeah.
Well, they have a lucky cricket.
They do.
So
That's all you need. And they've got cannons, so, I mean, like, that helps as well.
They do have the
yes,
cannons.
no, I love how beautiful this ending is against the palace with the fireworks going off as
It's-
we, murder Shan Yu.
Yeah.
And triumphal of the I just really loved all of the like textures and the way it's laid out. Aesthetically, this part is just so gorgeous.
He was cutting down pillars in the Imperial Palace.
I know.
With a
That's another
sword.
moment where you really feel just how
Single strike with a sword.
huge-
I mean, he's definitely got that barbarian fighter combination going on with just insane strength and just taking things out. But just
Yeah.
on that comment on the palette, like, the Imperial City is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And
It's really pretty.
I really do want to visit Beijing as a
Yeah.
city, just because
I would love
I
to.
know they took a lot of inspiration from there, like
Mhm.
from the Forbidden Palace, from the different ancient architecture there. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I just got even more excited of trying to plan out a trip. Who knows how many years from now to do that? But I
Yeah.
mean, it's so I've always been obsessed with Asian architecture, like
Yeah.
specifically Japanese. Like, if you like, I want to go to Japan so bad. I want to
Yeah.
go to I want to go to South Korea. I want to visit all these different places because
Mhm.
I mean, one, I love to see their depiction of Asian dragons in person.
Yeah.
And two, I've just always been obsessed with the different ancient architecture that they've had there. So
Yeah.
seeing that in Mulan was amazing.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did it so well.
And I love the like Grace was talking about, you have like the really cool palace with these super official imposing steps that go all the way up, and you have that computer program or the animation that they developed so that you can have all of these different people and lights, which is really impressive.
I love the lanterns
how
that
many
they have in the
distinct
crowd.
yeah, both the
It's
people
so
and the
pretty.
lanterns, and then the lanterns that are like strung up above.
They use his zip
They
lines.
use the zip lines, yeah, which made me a little nervous, but it worked out.
They're playing Assassin's Creed rules. Like, they can do whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. And when she has them dress up as concubines and it works.
I do love when the two ugly concubines, but they're so like, okay, hi.
Yeah.
No, and when I was young, I really thought of that moment as like, they've overcome their like toxic masculinity, like
Because
when they
they
were
were,
talking about like all they care about are hot ladies and they better look exactly the way I want them to. And now it's like, I have become the hot lady. I am my own hot lady. So I do really enjoy that.
Yeah. And then they use fruit to defeat, which I don't know why they didn't just bring swords, but it worked. It worked. The fruit worked.
Hey, they were bringing Fruit Ninja for a whole nother reason over there. They've got that involved. Well, again, just on that note, it's so fascinating to see how much, because as I go back and watch all these films, like I could not imagine Disney trying to incorporate like because that's a drag scene. Like they're all in drag right there.
100%. And they're using drag for good,
Yeah. And
using
you
it to
can't,
fight.
they're using it to fight the Huns.
Exactly.
I could not imagine them doing that as an original idea without people just losing their minds over it. Like that was it.
Yeah. And they don't make any like irresponsible or like cruel jokes about them being in drag.
I
It's
didn't
actually like pretty respectfully handled. I was wondering if there'd be something that's like aged poorly there, but
or like transphobic or
yeah,
something.
yeah,
But it was
exactly.
no, they were in drag. They were
Yeah,
men in drag,
yeah,
and they did it as like a psyop, and it
yeah,
worked out for them.
yeah.
Yeah, it didn't give me any ick.
The original honeypot situation going on.
Yeah.
Well, there was actually a line that I was like, I'm curious how it would be interpreted earlier. And this is back in chapter 1, where Mushu is like talking with the cricket right off the bat.
When he says she's a cross dresser.
Well, there's that line, but also Mushu's talking to the cricket. He's like, "Oh, Mulan's over here going off and playing drag, just doing that." And like, I'm like, I don't think that it's that bad of a statement, but I also of all the things that are like that could be distasteful or of in the film, that probably is probably. But I agree where they did this, it was a very respectful way and it's fun. Like it's a fun scene in general, just seeing
Totally.
them
Yeah.
like because they bring back the "Make a Man Out of You" song out of it, but instead of them becoming men, they're going into drag, like
I know. Yeah, it's the perfect flip side. And like, I feel like some of it is characters in the movie becoming more accepting of kind of overthrowing different gender norms too. Like, it's talked about differently earlier on by
Mhm.
characters,
yeah.
opposed to the ending where it's like, okay, no, we actually see how this could be a helpful tool.
Yeah.
And we aren't going to be so like stuck in our old fashioned ways as to
Yeah.
not
And
try
there
things.
is power in this role.
Well, and I also slightly tangential, but I learned that in the story that Mulan is based on, like, the ancient Chinese text, she is disguised as a man for 10 years, like, is in all these campaigns, then goes home and, like, puts a dress on, and everyone's like, "What?" So I keep thinking about that fact that it's like she was in it for the long haul. Mulan gave up pretty quickly for
Yeah.
her gender swap.
Well, everything was complete.
I know,
Yeah.
she
It
finished,
happened
yeah. It was
happened
a
Mission
more
pretty
s
fast.
accomplished.
it's a more streamlined conflict.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Mushu does not make an appearance in that version.
No.
Unfortunately not.
Yeah, no Mushu.
Like, again, I understand why they did it, and I'm not upset that they did it, but even as a kid, I was always thinking that it was weird that the emperor was so progressive, even though he had all these laws in place for the
I know.
military.
It doesn't make sense. Also, I really don't like it when Mulan hugs him because I feel like she would be put to death.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
just
that doesn't make any sense
yeah, that
historically.
well, and, like, throughout the movie, they have much, like, closer access to their captain as well.
Yeah.
Like, they're always, like, roughhousing each other and stuff. But, yeah, with the piece with the Emperor, he's, like, a very tricky character in the movie because they wanna paint him as, like, this very benevolent kind of grandfatherly guy at the
Mhm.
end, but it's like, well, why are we in this conflict to begin
He's,
with?
he's the emperor.
Yeah, the word emperor tells you all you need to know.
Well, and did you watch either of you or both of you watch the second Mulan movie that came out?
I th
Probably.
I think we, like, rented it from Blockbuster, so we didn't I think we just watched it once. It was not good.
I don't even
Yeah.
Yeah,
remember it.
have you seen it?
Yeah, and I always remember because the premise of the story, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that Mulan and Shang are transporting the emperor's daughters to
Yeah.
take part in an arranged marriage,
Yes.
and, like, the story of this is, like, teaching the daughters that they don't have to be in these, like, conformity lines there,
Mhm.
so even there, they're, like, taking that story of, like, the emperor forces his daughters into, like, being
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
Yeah, but then that's all off screen. On screen, he just gets to be a benevolent guy with a funny hat, you know?
I did
Yeah,
like his hat.
Yeah, it's a good hat.
his
It's a
drip.
good hat.
His
The
drip
way
is
that he puts it back on
I know.
so decisively after, like, giving Shang a little bit of a dressing down is great.
Yeah.
yeah, it's very authoritative going
Yeah.
on right there. Obviously, I can appreciate a good hat any day of the week.
Yes.
But I think that the very end when she shows back up and her father hugs her is, like, very touching,
Yeah.
and you really feel the emotion there that he's
Mhm.
just, like, so glad that she's not dead.
And she's so preoccupied with showing what she's done to bring the family
Mhm.
honor.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, if we remember, the last thing that he said to her before she went off to war is like that she's brought dishonor on the
right.
family and she needs to learn her place. And so I'm sure that in the back of her head, she's like, I've got to prove to him, I've got to
Yeah.
show him. And even like when he discovers that she's left, you can see just the level of horror and like,
Yeah.
what have I done?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
regret there. And
Yeah.
what one tiny detail that I caught this time through that I didn't catch before, if you remember when she had failed the matchmaking ceremony but before the conscription came in, he was talking about how there was a cherry blossom that hadn't bloomed yet. He's like, "But when
Yeah.
it does bloom, it's gonna be the most beautiful out of them all."
It's so lovely when he says that.
Yeah.
But when Mulan comes back, that cherry blossom is shown
Yes.
falling off the tree, and he catches it and holds
Yeah.
it, and then she walks in. I'm like, "Oh, that's just such a, like" it's such a small detail, but just such a
Mhm.
But it's really
beautiful moment.
lovely.
Yeah.
Well, and that's another, testament to this movie, like we were talking about a little earlier, with how it has this messaging that is more subtle and more nuanced in the way that it's delivered. So it can convey some of these concepts without it feeling like it's just being crammed down our throats.
Yeah. And I also think that it just movies nowadays, I feel like they're either made for kids or they're made for adults. I don't feel like
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
and again, I know Shrek is notorious for having, like, the dirty jokes that go over the kids'
Mhm.
heads completely, and I'm not even talking about that, but, like, Mulan, like, and we'll talk about it more when we actually grade it, but I genuinely enjoyed this movie as, like, I give Disney adults a hard rep. Like I bash on them just as much as everybody does on the internet. But like I watch this and I'm like, I get it. Like I
Yeah.
understand like why people would be watching these over and over again. Like
Yeah.
it's just so good. And it seems like there's something you're picking up each time you're watching it.
Yeah. I agree. I would love this movie,
Yeah.
and I always will.
It was a great time.
I always will.
Is there anything else about the film we want to cover before we dive into our dragon grade?
I think we can do
Yeah,
dragon grade.
let's talk Mushu.
Should we get a little picture of him up on our computer?
Yeah, we're just gonna pull up a picture of Mushu for us to look at.
Hey, no worries. Alrighty, so each week we do a dragon grade on the dragon that we cover in the media. Go and give grades in 5 different categories: design, special effects, character, film, and X factor. We grade each of those sections on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being abysmal, 10 being incredible, and 5 being okay. Now, I will go ahead and just kick us off with design. As far as Mushu goes for his physical design, I I do like his coloring. I think his coloring is very fitting for a dragon. Now, it is very notorious that I love big dragons. I love giant,
It's in the
imposing,
name of the podcast.
Big Liz we love big, thick dragons over here at
Yeah.
the Big Liz podcast.
Yep, yep, yep.
And Mushu is anything but a big dragon. He is
Okay.
very small. He looks like a snake in a lot of instances, but I do think there is a level of just artistic, I don't want to say beauty, but it just works so well for what he is. But I also have to stay loyal to what I like as a dragon grader. And so on that, I think I am going to give him a 6, which does translate to good, but I've certainly graded higher before. Now, Grace, do you want to go ahead and give your grade as well as your justification and grade on there?
Definitely. So, It's hard to even be unbiased here. Mushu is such a cutie. He has been with me for so much of my life as well. The thing is, I think there's so much good visual humor that comes from his size
Mm.
throughout the story, and I know I'm talking about other characters in relation to him rather than his design by itself, but I feel like that really justifies a lot of the tininess. And I know, like we talked about, Chinese audiences do not necessarily like Mushu because he is so little and he is so goofy. But I love how lithe he is. I love that he has a combination of sort of different types of dragon features, like Eastern and Western combinations a little bit. I love that he has his little mustache. I love his purple horns. They're so little.
Yeah.
So cute.
I haven't really noticed him before.
And having him as the just the little guy on top of the horse in the wagon, just kind of tagging along, I really, really enjoy. So I think my design rating for him, I think I'm gonna give him an 8, which is, I know, pretty high, but
Oh, that's 8 is great. I think I think you gave a good enough reasoning there, like, I can't be mad at that. Madeline?
I'm kind of torn.
and his big teeth. And
Funny.
apparently they did look at Eddie Murphy's smile and his mustache too, and kind of want to incorporate it into the Mushu design.
I
My
can see it in the stash.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My favorite dragon visually is a traditional Western fantasy dragon. The silhouette, the shape that I'm talking about. And I do like it when they are bigger and more, I don't know, formidable. They give a vibe of power. They have powers and, like, an aura. I do really like looking at Mushu. It gives
Yeah.
me the serotonin. Like, he's just so cute, and I do like I was saying, I haven't really noticed his little horns before, which is crazy, but I noticed them a lot this time, and his color to me is very dragon-like, and I like the way that because he has such a small form, it totally changes the usual dynamic of a dragon because he's just like a little Pokemon, a little Pokemon, not a big
He's
Pokemon.
very physically expressive compared to a larger dragon. Like he gets a little more freedom.
And he made me laugh so much, which isn't visual at all. Never mind on that part. But yeah, I think that even though his design doesn't totally scream dragon to me, I'm still going to give him a 7.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay, we're in a
7
similar
is
pocket here.
Yeah, I think we're all on that same length there, and 7 does translate to very good. Now,
Nice.
on that, Madeline, do you wanna kick us off on the special effects portion there? Like, what do you grade Mushu and how he was rendered special effects wise? And now you can grade it, give on any way you would like there, depending on you can take the timing, you can take just what you're thinking there, but again, the platform's yours.
Okay, I love the way Mushu is animated. He's so versatile. All of his movements, from even just like the way he walks, like if he's doing his little strut or if he's doing like an actual more of like a lizard movement where he's running. I really like the way that he gets all up in everything. And he is so, I think Grace called him life. Yes, he is life. And, his, like, when he does actually have his little flame, I thought it was very cute. And because it's a little like Robin Williams as the genie, where they can animate him to be, uh, superlative in whatever way he needs to be based on, like, what the line is or what if he's making a joke or doing, like, a gimmick or something, and his design lends itself really well for that. His facial expressions are so great. I'm just looking at this little picture of, when the cannon gets blown out of the wagon, and you look in the hole, and it's just him, and he's, like, pointing at the cricket. Uh yeah, I think they really killed it with his animation. I'm gonna give him an 8 for this.
Okay, 8. There we go. Grace?
Yeah, echoing a lot of the same thoughts. One of my favorite Mushu moments is when he's first doing his gospel introduction against the rock and he does a full body roll. I think he calls himself, I can't remember what adjective he said.
That's something like magnificent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't remember, but it's just in that moment, I'm like, okay, come on, this is perfect. He moves through the world in a way that's really different from the other characters, and I thought they were very thoughtful about that, the animators. The others are, everyone's much more formidable, bulky, like taking up more space, and then Mushu can just kind of zip all around. There's so many good physical moments. He has love when he is in the back of the wagon again, and we see the cannon get shot out when he's lighting the fireworks at the end and he says, light me. And just everything is he's just very fluid in a way that I think a small dragon should be. So I really like the way he was animated. I think they were really thoughtful with him. So I think I'm going to go 9.
9.
And I like the brightness of his flame too.
I do as well, and I just had to look it up because I remember it being so legendary. So I pulled up the script right here, and Mushu says, "Who am I? Who am I? I am the guardian of lost souls. I am the powerful, the pleasurable, the indestructible Mushu."
Yep, it's pleasurable with the body roll. Even saying, I don't care. So good.
And then he's like, "Oh, I'm pretty hot." Well, again, I'm just gonna echo a lot of the things. I just have to keep reminding myself this is before 2000, like, and already what they're doing. The hand drawn animation is just so great.
Yeah.
The amount of detail that is tied to him is just so impeccable. The way that he's able to move around, and I do also love, like as you're saying, how he sort of struts. But I also love how the entire movie he's like anti being compared to a snake, but he almost
But he
slithers
moves
around.
like a snake.
And I think he even does like the tongue flick thing like as a snake several times throughout the film.
Yeah, he has a little forked tongue.
Yep.
Yeah, so very, very much snake-like. I really enjoy that. I didn't know the tidbit about him being copied off a little bit of Eddie Murphy, which I initially was going to say 9, but I don't want to say that he's a 10 because to me, the House of the dragons are 10s. Like they're just
Okay.
like that's perfection, not perfection. It's incredible. Like what they're able to do in House of the Dragon is just the best like animation special effects you can do there. So I'm going to give him a 9.5 here. I think it's just there based off the time that's going there, based off of what's going on. I think that he's up there and I definitely think he's earned that. But Grace, with Mushu's character, what do you grade Mushu on a scale of 0 to 10?
Okay, so it's always tricky when you get into the Disney comedic sidekicks, It's like they're occupying a similar space, but you want to think about the ways that they are standing out, that they're not just another. I mean, there's many comedic Disney sidekicks that we don't talk about or think about, and I would argue that Mushu's like at the top of the pantheon. I like when I was a kid, I loved Mushu. I loved the raccoon from Mulan.
Oh yeah.
Or no, I'm sorry, Pocahontas. I meant Pocahontas.
Yeah.
Talking about Mulan.
Miko? The raccoon?
Miko, yeah, something like that.
Cute.
But even just comparing the two of them, the raccoon's just like silly and like steals stuff and chirps. Mushu is so magnificent in every aspect of his personality. Eddie Murphy killed it. I think it's wild that they were like, let's copy what Robin Williams did with the genie, but then it actually was
worked.
totally effective in a different
Yeah.
way because it's a completely different performer who, Robin Williams and Eddie Murphy have very different styles and different influences. So I think he's very singular. And as a character, he brings so much comedy to the movie. So
Yeah.
I'm giving him. And also, it's just really funny that a Black American is voicing a Chinese dragon. So I think I have to give him a 10. I love him.
He is incredible.
I
He
love
is
Mushu.
definitely
I knew I was going to be really biased with these ratings, but whatever.
Madeleine followed up on the 10.
Yeah, I was gonna give him a 10 as well.
Dragon babies. This is what we love.
Grace pretty much said everything already. And I just, while we were watching this, I was like cackling, like genuinely laughing in a way that I usually really don't when I watch movies. And this is not a comedy.
No?
He also really propels the plot. That was one thing I
Yeah.
meant to say and forgot.
Yeah.
But also he makes those two fireworks employees jump to their deaths off the fireworks tower
My husband was like, those guys are dead.
in fear.
Your worst nightmare.
Your worst nightmare. I'm sorry. That's not my turn.
No, yeah. He just, like I said, I was laughing so hard. I haven't seen this movie in a really long time. I always really liked Mushu. But as an adult, I just found him such a delight. Like you're saying, it doesn't sound like it should make sense on paper, like his character in juxtaposition, like in this movie, but it like really does. Yeah, it's really impressive, and I enjoyed him very much. 10, my rating is 10.
Hey, he is such an impressive, and just like how you were saying, Grace, as a side character, I was even just trying to think of like comparable side characters
Yeah.
there. And some other characters, like I know Sebastian in The Little Mermaid is pretty great, but he's also a little too serious for my liking. Phil in Hercules, we just talked about Hercules in the compare. Like there's a lot of actually similarities that I see between Phil and Mushu, but Mushu
Yeah.
is definitely funnier
Yeah,
and more of a gag character.
I'd
And
say
I
more
really
lovable too.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Phil is a creep. Like,
He's a grumpy
He's
old
gross.
man.
like I also am thinking Zazu in Lion King, but Zazu's
Yes.
just not in the film as much as Mushu is.
And he's just kind of like a bureaucrat.
Exactly. So, I mean, Mushu does definitely just stand tall and really can't compare. And there's actually, I don't know if you guys ever saw the film Quest for Camelot. That it's a King Arthur story where it has the two-headed dragon, Devon and Cornwall. It was not a
From
Disney.
1998.
Yes, I think
Okay,
so.
yes, I know this movie. Yes.
And even though I think Mushu's so much better of a character, I think that there's a lot of similarities just between like the
Mm.
different comedic levels that they are and
Mhm.
just incorporating a comedic dragon. I think I said back then that they were one of the funniest dragons that I've seen on screen. Mushu just takes that to a whole nother level. On that alone, I have to agree. 10. That's tens across the board there. Mushu supremacy indeed. Now, Grace, do you want to lead us off on your score for the film in general? Now, even though this is the Dragon grade, what we like to do is just do a 0 out of 10. And fun fact about the podcast, this podcast initially came to being because I in college made a joke that a movie cannot be a 10 out of 10 unless it has a dragon. Like that's the only way a movie can
Love it.
be a 10 out of 10. Because of that, we've included this as a grading system of like, what do you rate this movie on a scale of 0 to 10?
Again, really hard to not be biased here. I have to say that I was old enough to remember this movie coming out. So what, it came out in 1998. I was 9. Wait, how old am I? No,
You were born in 87.
I was 10. So I remember coming at this from, you know, just being fully immersed in the Disney Renaissance and the other princess movies. And I think it's really funny that Mulan is classified as a Disney princess.
No sense at all. She's
You
not a
know, she
princess.
gets married to Shang. He's like a high-ranking captain, certainly not royal.
which is I don't want them to make her princess. I'm just saying it's funny that that they
Yeah,
group her in.
and also that the princesses are all about being very femme and like in these really involved dresses, and Mulan is much more casual. I
Hundreds of thousands of deaths on her hands.
But she just wears a plain frock, you know? She doesn't have to boast about it. And I remember how different Mulan felt. I hadn't, at that point in my life, hadn't consumed that much media, a 9-year-old, like pre-internet.
Yeah, we didn't have like iPads or
We
whatever.
didn't really watch much TV. It was like Blockbuster, as I've already mentioned Blockbuster. I'm really, really dating myself here. But it was just such a breath of fresh air for me. And the movie still feels really relevant. It feels like, as we've been talking about, the messaging has stayed powerful. I can't believe how well it's aged, like just socially and culturally. Definitely understand why it, maybe the people of China don't necessarily love this Mulan, but as an American, I do. I'm sorry, China. I'm sorry.
We don't care about the Chinese opinion. This is our film. God damn it. Give me a break.
Yeah, Chinese apologies are not allowed on this podcast. But it is so special. And I don't think it's just nostalgia that's saying that. I really tried to watch it with a critical eye. It is gorgeous. It is beautifully, narratively, just so lovingly, thoughtfully done. I'm giving it a 9.
Okay. Alrighty. Madeleine, following that up.
I was thinking about it while Grace was talking, and she said a lot of good things to ponder about. And before watching this, I think if you would have, I don't watch a lot of Disney movies these days. I mean, I know that Disney owns so much IP, but I'm talking about like, animated Disney films of this ilk. And if you asked me which one my favorite was before this rewatch, I would have said The Lion King, which is a great movie. The original Lion King, not the whatever they're doing with the remakes.
Madeleine made us watch Lion King every day for like a good year as children.
Watched a lot. I had a little cassette player that I put in my cozy coop, and which I had a cassette that was just the Lion King soundtrack. So I would just play "Be Prepared" over and over again.
I don't know if that should be having me scared or not over here.
Yeah, evil genius. I mean, "Be Prepared" is a great song.
It is, and Jeremy Irons is amazing, but that's
I know it slaps. It slaps. And I should probably rewatch The Lion King too. But I also remember The Lion King as being much more stressful and sad, which is wild because it's about animals and thousands of people die in Mulan. But I'm talking about the emotions that raised in me.
Yep.
That's all. And I am really averse to sad animal movies, as Grace knows. They mess me up. Anyways, this has got to be one of, if not my favorite Disney movie. It's just so enjoyable. I had a great time, and it's not like I say one of my favorite Disney movies. My favorite movies are there's those titles have been claimed. It's not one of my favorite movies. So I think I will also give it a 9.
Okay.
I think it's really, really good. And impressive as a piece of art in many different ways, and also as a piece of this interesting mishmash of Chinese and American culture.
No, I'm really could echo everything that both you and Grace have said, because this film is phenomenal, and especially just revisiting it after so many years, it is so beautiful. The music's amazing. The villain is obviously a top tier, but he's not like a Jafar. He's not like an Ursula or Scar where there's a lot of personality behind it. But
Yeah.
again, he just does such a great job at putting fear and putting
Yeah.
that playing the villain role. The only critique that I can even, because I also went into this film knowing that I liked it, but I also wanted to nitpick and see what I could pick. And the only thing that I would necessarily critique on this film is, with the exception of Mulan, Mushu, and even to an extent, I think even just Mulan and Mushu, all the characters seem surface level and you don't get a lot of character building around it. But again, it's a 90-minute film, so you really can't do a lot of character building on it, and that was what a lot of the songs were meant for, just to be able to
Right.
get that background information. But as
Yeah.
somebody who's obsesses over lore, I would have loved more character building. But this movie is also just very, I mean, it's crazy to think that this is a very progressive film for what it is. But I mean, it
Yeah.
also, if Mulan came out in 2024 rather than, I mean, 2025, I don't even know what year it is over here, but
Yeah.
if it came out in
Nor do we.
2024 versus in 1998, I feel like it would have gotten a lot more controversy about they're like, oh, they're trying to force feminism down on us. They've got these men dressing up as concubines. Well, this ain't
Yeah.
right. Let me tell you, brother. Like,
Yeah.
I
No, you're
could
right.
definitely, but nobody complains. Like, if anything, people are like, oh, why don't they make movies like they did with Mulan over here again? Or why don't
Mhm.
they just reminisce on these? So again, like they did it in just such a tasteful way that, and again, I feel like we were still getting out of a lot of the women's right. I mean, I know there's still so many issues with women's rights that we're experiencing today and fighting through, but I also feel like the battles that were being fought in the 90s and
Mhm.
in the early 2000s were just so fresh on people's mind that they were able to
Mhm.
do that. So culturally, I think it's a very significant film that they're able to do. Again, the
Yeah.
only critique that I can really think is that I wish they would have added more character. I feel basic for following y'all's lead, but it's a 9 for me. I think that it does a great job there.
It's
This
a
is
very strong movie.
it truly is. And as you said, all my favorite movie slots have been taken. I was like, maybe this is one of my favorite movies. I don't know. I have to think about that.
Well, fun fact, I do have Prince of Egypt in top 5 favorite movies of all time. It
That's
is slot
totally
number
fair.
5, but
We
it's
were just talking about doing a forced family viewing of it at Christmas.
That movie goes so hard.
easily one of the best soundtracks in a film. Like it's
Yes.
And I am not religious.
yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's just
just
a
an
good story.
amazing movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've only been to like 3 musicals in my life, like a physical production, and The Prince of
Yeah.
Egypt was one of them, and I loved every second and sing along. But if it's all right with you guys, I'd love to kick us off on the X Factor. Now, what we include with the X Factor is just really what sets the dragon apart from other dragons. And I do think that there is actually a bit of things that set Mushu apart from
Mhm.
other dragons that you see in media. One thing, and again, I took it out of design, but I'm giving it to him in X Factor.
Mm.
You don't see tiny dragons. Like you see
Yeah.
smaller dragons, you see medium-sized dragons, but you never see like lizard-sized dragons. Like you could make the argument that he is like a lizard. Like he's
Yeah.
not even a dragon. So that is also that's very unique. And yes, I know I just had talked about how Devon and Cornwall are a comedic relief, but even then, like reports came out with the Quest for Camelot film that they actually were holding those comedians back from being as funny as they could be, and they like cut out over for I think they said it was over 2/3 of the jokes that they had written up for the characters. Now, these 2 comedians all can be a little raunchy, and I think that they had just cut out quite a few of those jokes there. But with Eddie Murphy, I don't feel like there was anything missing with Mushu. I don't get the sense that
Yeah.
they were really like restricting Mushu unless they edited out a few swear words, which I mean, who knows? Maybe he did that, but you don't
Oh,
get
how
that
great would
sense
it be
there.
if they let Mushu swear?
I want cursing Mushu.
Yeah, let's get the rated R version where he's able to drop a few fuck bombs in there.
That I mean, seriously, like, yeah, let's do that.
But on that front, I think that's very unique in the sense. I do like Madeline, I really agree with you. I love the Western depiction of a dragon, like the 4 legs, the wings, just the big, powerful build. That is my favorite depiction of a dragon. I'm also very warm on the Quaddle, I think it is, where it's the almost the Aztec version of Quetzalcoatl, where it's
Yeah.
just a flying
Mhm.
serpent with giant wings. Like I love that vision. I I don't wanna say I'm not a fan of the Asian depiction of it, it's just to me, it's always seemed more mammal-like or almost lion-like, which I
Mhm.
know that there's almost like a purpose behind that, but to me, I like my reptiles. I like it to be cold-blooded over here, and I think Mushu does actually a very good job of distincting himself as a reptile, even though he's within this Asian depiction of culture, so with that all being said, I'm going to give him a 7. I think he does a very good job at setting himself apart in this X Factor portion. So, on that front, Madeline, what do you grade on a scale of 0 to 10 on an X Factor?
Yeah, when I saw the X Factor category, the first thing that just burst into my mind was Eddie Murphy because he is just the character. He, like Grace was saying, apparently they wrote it for him. They're like, you're going to be able to do well with these lines. And what you bring up about him being a little dragon that's like, extra and different, you're totally right. And I think that especially paired with his voice actor's massive personality, it just works really well because it's like he's preposterous. He's a preposterous character. He's gonna go like save Mulan, and he's the size of a foot. he can only make a little flame, and he's disgraced. He's very silly, but he just has so much flavor. I just appreciate his vibes and his character so much. Like I can't think of another dragon. I haven't seen that film that you're talking about. It sounds like there are some similarities there, but I can't think of another dragon that I've seen that is like this. In like he's just really unique as a dragon, and for that reason, I'm going to give him an 8.
Okay.
Nice.
Grace, before we move on to you, I completely forgot that I wanted to bring this up, but I did. One of my favorite scenes with Mushu is when they're like, he's trying to pitch himself to the ancestors. He's like, hey, I could do this. And then he just blows like the teeniest flame. He's like, oh, baby. So proud of himself for that teeny tiny little flame that he's able to.
And like, who among us hasn't felt that way,
The accomplishment that I'm able to do. It's not that big, but I am celebrating. Like, yeah.
Totally. Oh, Mushu.
Sorry, go. What do you give on
Yeah.
the score?
Well, something I wanted to mention that I think is connected to X Factor is that apparently originally Joe Pesci was going to voice Mushu, which is so absurd. Like, that's such a different character, like a street kraken, like wisecracking street New York guy and with like a gangster. And thinking about that actually helps me think about what X Factor this version of the character has, because that's a whole different, I can't even square the two that they could even have thought about having each of them in the movie. So that to me says that this Mushu is so singular that I can't even imagine a different take.
one.
I don't know what the film would be like without him. And that he is a little weirdo. He has so many different cute little features, the horns plus the mustache plus the ears plus the little tail tip and his little nails on each of his claws. I think that's a really good point, Matt. It's like, I can't think of another dragon like him. So I think I will round out by saying, I guess what takes down my X Factor a little bit is like, he is kind of somewhat other, like silly little funny guys.
Silly little funny
Especially
guy.
in Disney films. So that detracts from the uniqueness a little bit. But I think I'm also going to end high on an 8.
8, which here's Mushu scored quite well for this. I'll just say that, which does come to the final score for Mushu in the 1998 Mulan film at an 8.5, which is between great and superb, which, I think is completely appropriate with.
Justified.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely vindicated, completely justified.
Love
And
it.
on that is a closure on our coverage of Mulan. Grace, Madeline, thank you so much for going. It's been such a fun time.
Yeah.
I would love
Absolutely
to
loved this. Thank you for having us.
For having us. Yeah, this was great.
Of course. Would you like to take a moment just to plug whatever you have coming up, just as well as what you're working on in general right now?
Yeah, you can find us wherever you get your podcasts. Dragon Babies. We are on Instagram at Dragon Babies Podcast. We have a pretty defunct TikTok under the same handle if you want to check that out. We
don't
also
post on TikTok.
we also have a Babe-treon, which is our Patreon, but for Dragon Babies, which is $3 a month to join if you'd like an extra episode, and we go a little wider ranging. But in general, we've got next month we're doing a like holiday themed YA fantasy episode. So we're about to put the vote out for that for December. And we just covered Tomi Adeyemi's Children of Virtue and Vengeance and Darcy Littlebatter's Badgers, Sheena, Lena for November.
Which was a really, really fantastic
really
book.
gorgeous. So some recent apps to check out if you like 70s, 80s, 90s YA fantasy. You're definitely going to find an episode you'll enjoy.
Be sure to go check them out. Give them subscribe. Give them a like. And again, thank you so much for coming on. I've genuinely had a fun time here.
Yeah, me too.
I'm so happy we're able to do this.
Yeah.
Again, thank you everyone that has come along and listened to us. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, share with your mom, share with your pa, share with your grandma. Until next time, have a good night.
Awesome. Thank you.
That's all for this week's Dragon Lore. Takes cold and hot, spread shore to shore. Enjoyed yourself? Please join the squad. Follow on social media at BigLizPod. And one quick reminder before you go, to rate, review, and share the show. Thank you for listening. It means a lot. See you next week, same time, same spot.